Well, up next we have a serious, powerful duo here. They've been at the heart of this regenerative movement with cannabis from the beginning. They were the first-year winners of the Regenerative Cannabis Farm Award. They have the Dragonfly Earth Medicine Pure Collective. We just had an amazing event where we all kind of came together out in the hills and Heartwood, and it was, everyone came with love, with really good intentions. We connected on a real, and we unplugged too. We didn't have like the phones on, but thank you guys for creating all of the community that you have. You've been a real center of the mycelium network of this movement. So without further ado, give it up for Dragonfly Earth Medicine.
Thanks so much, Jesse. We appreciate you and everything you've done for this community and moving forward. And we want to give a real thank you and a real acknowledgement to everyone out in the crowd too, because we're two people out in the woods trying to make a difference, and just like you, so we really appreciate you. And on that note, we're going to share with you the story of cannabis and the soul of cannabis. And as cannabis is moving and evolving in this new realm, we believe there is a soul, and it's a soul that comes within the spirit. And so we're going to take you on a little journey of cannabis as medicine and as food and as fibers.
So the soul of cannabis. I think in order to talk about the soul, we have to believe that cannabis has a consciousness. And I can pretty much bet that a large majority of people here in this room work with a cannabis plant on a daily basis. And we can go back in history, and all of our ancestors way back beyond 200 to 300 years ago, before it became in prohibition, was also working with it. The definition in Wikipedia is the awareness of consciousness. It's the awareness of internal or external existence. It's a pretty interesting thing to ponder right now, because the plant that we know today, that many of us know here in this room, is loaded with terpenes, super high cannabinoids. Yeah, buddies. We're like really going for a very powerful relationship with this plant on a soul level. We're connecting mind to mind. We're really looking for that mental experience. And in the same notion, we've taken this hemp plant for fiber, and we're juicing it for all the high CBD that we possibly can. So through that learning, we've been having, and much more, but that seems to be what, the big money and the corporate cannabis and where the industry is going right now is really in the medicine of the mind and also the medicine of the body. People in this room here, you're medicine makers. You're distributing medicine. If we're gonna evolve together, which we have, we're evolving very quickly together. We can even remember the strains back in the 1980s, and now we can look at the strains today. And all of a sudden, CBG, what? So there's all these things that we continue to push the plant forward in. We have this relationship. We're strain hunting, we're sharing varietals with each other. And in the same moment, we're asking more and more of this plant, and she continues to provide. Now, not all plants are like that. It's evolving really quickly, like right before our eyes in the last 10 years. Now everybody in this room knows about all the different cannabinoids and the terpenes, and they just keep getting higher and higher. Because that's what we're asking of her. That's the experience that we're having together.
The root systems heal the earth. We're seeing corporate cannabis put cannabis in greenhouses or in million square foot grow systems, and it can work. And that's what's amazing about cannabis, but the root systems are healing the earth. And if we grow in accordance to that soul and that spirit of what its gift is not only in medicine, it's in the root compounds. And the root compounds are extremely beneficial to our medicines. And thank you, Ethan Russo, for the knowledge on how to use the root systems and how the mycorrhizal fungi networks work in filtering our water. And we know through agriculture is one of the most biggest drivers towards climate change, and there's filters, created through the mycorrhizal web. So through cannabis's connection through our medicine, we're also healing the earth, and we can remediate nuclear waste zones, and we can clean up waterways, and we can build life on earth in a time when there's mass extinctions potentially in our future. And we believe that if there's species going away, there's also species being created. And if we're creating environments with our cannabis and using cannabis as consciousness, we can go beyond the cannabis and create our food forests and our support guilds that come through and utilize other compounds with our cannabis as medicine.
And when we go back into history, this plant has always done this. When we were starving, Carl Sagan back in 1977 said that he really believes, after much historical research, that cannabis was the very first agricultural product. And we know that the very first agricultural product would have been the civilization of humanity. So I do believe that we have an endocannabinoid system, for a reason, and I do believe that we've been with this plant for an incredibly long time, and I'd like to also believe that community was based off of cannabis. And I look in this room and I realize that community is based off of cannabis. This room is based off of community of cannabis, and if we're gonna talk about the soul of cannabis, and we're gonna talk about cannabis having an evolution with us, then the evolution is coming through community. We are the soul of cannabis. We are the evolution of cannabis. And if we all want to evolve in a way that is a higher learning and a higher vibration, we have this ability right now. We're at the precipice of this industry. There's this major corporate vision. It's interesting. It's not something that's going to heal the earth. And rather than being in competition to that, we have the ability to be an alternative. We have the ability to be the alternative. And when we're together and we have this plant as our ally and she has us as an ally, then we do have the ability to save the world, because this plant, as we all know, is a catalyst for change.
We know that it's not just 8,000 years that we've been using it, that it's millions of years, because our whole entire system is built around it and nature is built around it. We know the Vedic scriptures in India and ganja coming from India and coming through other places is that soul. And we also believe that that soul connects us to the earth and its cycles, and that connection with the earth and its cycles is partly what's missing now. It's partly that pharmaceutical disconnection or that big ag disconnection. In cannabis, we should realize that soul and make that connection with the earth. And the laws that are being created right now and the regulations that are being created are counterproductive to that soul. So it's really important right now. So we feel really invigorated in our community right now on the possibilities of what's happening. And we think that it's civil disobedience to just make medicine. And there's a lot of laws changing right now, but we just want to, encourage people not to get discouraged and to keep the battle going and to understand whole plant medicine and to use that soul of cannabis and that teaching of whole plant medicine and nature as our root is essential to our growth. Our microbiome, our soil biome, and our local environments depend on it. And the time is now for us to make a change. So as we're growing cannabis, let's look to our allies and to our family for people to give us strength in moving forward, to make those kinds of changes, and to connect with polyculture and see how our rhythms and our cycles do balance out when we flood the system. When we're mob gardeners, we're just mobbing everything with seed, and we're building mounds. And we've had such beautiful examples of different people that have done different things with this cannabis and with this soul.
And I know that the relationship that we have with cannabis is on a historical sense. And we know that humanity has had a deep relationship with cannabis. And I just wanted to take a second to talk about the personal relationship that we have with cannabis. Many of us have relationships in our lives that have come and gone. But somehow I know in this room that many of us have a very, very personal relationship with this plant and this medicine. And I think that we talked about a lot of ways that we can help the soul of cannabis evolve in a way that's a higher plane on the outside and within our communities, but also within ourselves. We can do that work. And we can really look at plant as a medicine, and a medicine that's going to help heal ourselves and also help heal the people. And I know that the relationships that we have with people in our community, I was saying earlier, come and go. But the relationship that we have with cannabis is ongoing, and some of us here in this room, many of us, have a stronger relationship with cannabis than any other human. Let's be real. And I think that that's important. We can evolve this plant in a way that is going to help evolve our own civilization, our own communities, our own families, and our own selves. So, thank you so much for being here today. Let's go out and do the good work. Let's stay together. Let's be community. Let's help us all evolve.
Look to other DEM Pure certified farms that are doing really amazing things, and join us in the teepee. Come get juiced up with superfoods. Let's be able to garden together in our 80s. Let's know that times are changing, but so are we, and we're all evolving. We're all adaptogenic. We're all nootropic. We're regenerating our soul. We're regenerating our cells every single day. So support your friends, support your neurological network, support your soil, healthy mind, body, and soil. Give thanks.